as everyone knows, I mean, with Aaron Rodgers at this point, it seems like, and I know Bree agrees with this, we spoke about it before the show and Splash, Aaron Rodgers is done in Green Bay. There's a better chance that he leaves than he stays. I'd be more surprised if next year comes and 2021 week 1 and Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. So this situation's bad, and I honestly think it's over for him in Green Bay.
Yeah, like I said, it's at the point of no return.
First of all, I said it on the Lambeau Leaper show yesterday. I don't think Rodgers goes anywhere. The Packers are not going to trade Rodgers.
And Splash doesn't think a trade's going to happen. Frankie, do you think one's going to happen?
Yeah, I think so.
No? Okay, yes. Okay, so Splash, if he doesn't get traded, do you think he's going to hold out for a year? Do you think he'll sit for this year to kind of get his way and make a point?
All right. So I said on the show yesterday, I think there's a 95% chance he plays week 1 against probably the Bears. 95% chance he plays week 1. 5% chance he just up and retires. And Rodgers will be on the Packers in some capacity this season, whether that's as a contract because he retired, like a just totally dead contract, or actually the starting quarterback and going to be MVP front runner again with Green Bay. So I would say 95% chance he plays week 1 with Green Bay, 5% chance he retires. So
let's put a bet on it, Splash. Bet right now.
Interesting.
All right.
Bree, me and Splash are making a bet whether Rodgers starts the year with the Packers. What should this bet be based on?
Or loser buys the winner a new jersey.
Let's do. All right. I'm down with that, and I'm also down with doing something on the show. The loser has to do something on the show. Let's Splash. You're losing this bet. I'm like 99.6% certain. There's no way Rodgers comes back.
Also,
so you win the bet if he's traded, and I win the bet if he's not traded?
No, so the bet is
he has to be traded. What are they going to cut him? Or then he's not going to retire.
If he's the Packers starter week 1.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, look who's going to be this Packers starter week 1. I called it back in May. That was from, I think, episode 17. If you want to go back, check out the full 58-minute clip. I cut it down, 2 minutes for your viewing pleasure, for my viewing pleasure, and for the pleasure of my closet just off screen over here. That's right, folks. Aaron Rodgers is returning to the Green Bay Packers on a so-called last dance deal. Green Bay will have control over Rodgers in 2021, and as of right now, only 2021. We'll have the same conversation next year. You'll see me again. You'll see Frankie in a little bit. So if you hate me, I'm sorry, but Frankie's coming on in a little bit. We're going to talk about Rodgers. We're going to get into some Watson talk later. But next year, this time, we're going to have the same conversation. But as of right now, Aaron Rodgers is returning to the Green Bay Packers. He never left, but Aaron Rodgers is going to play week 1 with Green Bay, and I'm going to get a jersey. Comment what jersey I should get. I don't have any preferences. No Steelers jerseys. 31 other NFL teams. I'm cool with it. Rookie, whether it's a rookie, whether it's Aaron Rodgers, I don't know about that, but yeah. Folks, Aaron Rodgers is coming back. Davante Adams is coming back. And this is huge because you're talking about, in my opinion, the best quarterback in football, at the very least, the second best quarterback in football. And you have I don't want to say guaranteed shot to win the Super Bowl, a shot. You have one of the better shots in the NFL. You have, 10% chance to win the Super Bowl. And you're a team that has gone to 2 straight NFC title games. You're a team that has a 26-6 record in the NFL the last 2 seasons. As far as I can remember, it's up there with Kansas City as the best game ahead of Baltimore. This Packers team is unbelievable. All of the guys were the last dance this, the last dance this. Well, darn it, they are going for that last dance, except only Rodgers has a title out of the group. But that's okay. Who cares? So Green Bay with Rodgers is likely the number 2 favorite in the NFC behind reigning champion Tampa Bay. So Tampa takes that 1 spot. Green Bay takes the 2 spot. Rams, Niners, whomever follows in behind. But this Green Bay team, you throw out Rodgers still. You throw out Aaron Jones. You throw out A.J. Dillon, who looks ridiculously jacked this offseason. Davante Adams, back. Robert Tonyan, back. That defense is loaded. People underrate the Packers defense. I think you have 3 legitimate star edge rushers, but the Smith Bros, Rashawn Gary. Kenny Clark is a monster on the inside. He's a top 10 interior guy, in my opinion. The linebackers, whatever. Chris Barnes isn't great, but you look at the corners. Jair Alexander is awesome. Kevin King, the end of his career. I'm sorry, just totally, just cut him, please. Like, I'm sure Alex is watching at some point. Just cut Kevin King. Eric Stokes is going to be fine. Darnell Savage, Adrian Amos, those guys are ballers. I'm talking capital B. Like, if you put them in the big baller brand, they're probably bigger names than Lonzo, LaMelo, and LiAngelo. That's beside the point. This Packers team is locked and loaded. They are as talented as they've ever been, offensively, defensively, too. This is a team, Aaron Rodgers fans love to point out, the defense sucks when it comes in the playoffs. This year, you have, I mentioned 8 stars potentially, 3 edge, interior guy, 2 corners, depending on Stokes, 2 safeties. This is a loaded roster. Good special teams play. You know, you got J.K. Scott. You know, you got Mason Crosby. Those guys can still do it. I'm super excited to see Green Bay. I can't wait for Alex to come back on the show at some point and that we can roll or troll all of you that thought he was going to be traded, because nada. Rodgers 0. I said 5% back in May. I was being lenient. I was committing to the peer pressure. I was breaking from Frankie's undeniable. Yeah, he's going to be traded. Yeah, and there's no way. Frankie, you owe me a jersey. You're going to be here in a little bit. I'll have to explain it again because you missed the video, but you're owing me a jersey and you're going to have to do something Thursday night. So speaking of Thursday night, the next episode of Time Out With You Stadium, go ahead, drop a comment and tell the world what Frankie should do as like a forfeit because he lost the bet. What should Frankie do Thursday night on Time Out With You Stadium? Bree's there, Nick's there, Frankie's there. What does what does Frankie have to do? Someone suggested that he wear a Brady jersey. I doubt he has a Brady jersey, but post in the comments what Frankie should do as a forfeit for losing this bet. And also comment what jersey I should get, because he owes me a jersey and he owes the whole world a forfeit that I'm going to cut, and it's going to have like 10 million views because Frankie's going to make a fool of himself. But that is awesome. With that said, let's move into what this means for other quarterbacks around the NFL. Not quite Deshaun Watson, because, he's not 38. He's 25, 26. There's some other quarterbacks around the NFL. They've been around. They've been, 15-year vets, getting close to that 15-year mark. And when I saw this, I'm thinking, what does this mean for Pittsburgh and Big Ben? Are they going to have a standoff? Anything like this? I know Big Ben doesn't have really any trade value at this point compared to Rodgers. Rodgers is coming off an MVP season. Ben Roethlisberger deteriorated down the end of the season last year. He had one good half of football after the second Baltimore game. Just rough. Is this a tactic that can be used by other quarterbacks? And also jump into another MVP quarterback, Matt Ryan, with the Falcons. Is this going to be is 2021 potentially a last dance of sorts for either Big Ben or Matt Ryan? Could they be? I don't think in Ben's case, he would probably retire. Matt Ryan, I guess, could be traded. Stafford could have been in this boat, but of course he is a member of the Rams now. I think Matt Ryan can still win you some football games. I think Big Ben's kind of toast. I saw a stat earlier. The Steelers have been worst in the NFL in play action pass attempts on first down the last 5 years. So since they started tracking the data, every single season they've been in the bottom 5. They have 5 of the 6 worst seasons ever in terms of, starting a drive, starting on first down with play action. Only the 2017 Jets have been below 10%. Then this is a Big Ben thing more than a Steelers offense thing. But this year you're going to have a revitalized running game with Najee Harris, who's a top 10 prospect in my eyes. But you're rocking and rolling with, Harris. You get Kendrick Green, 3rd round pick. Kevin Dotson, he was one of PFF's breakout players. I think the single best pass blocking guard last season by PFF's grades. And you're just, you're rolling. I mean, you lost Villanueva, who wasn't very good. You lost to Castro, who's coming off his worst season. You bring in Trey Turner, who is coming off of his worst season and is not as consistently great as David Castro, but it happens. So could Pittsburgh have this little last dance? I don't think so. Big Ben does actually have 2 Super Bowls. That's one thing that he does have over Rodgers, although Rodgers did beat them head to head in Super Bowl 45. But I think Big Ben might be on the way out after 2021, maybe 2022, but I don't think we had this last dance thing. And with Matt Ryan, I think there is a potential for this sort of last dance scenario. Both sides acknowledge, yeah, I can still play football. I think the Falcons know Matt Ryan can still play football. I think Matt Ryan knows Matt Ryan can still play football. I don't know if Julio Jones knows that, but Julio Jones is neither here nor there. You're looking at an offense with Calvin Ridley. You're looking at an offense with Kyle Pitts. You're looking at an offense with Russell Gage and Hayden Hurst. I think two of the more underrated players in the NFL. Russell Gage might have a better arm than Matt Ryan, but again, that's beside the point. Russell Gage is a guy, as a wide receiver too, was very productive. He should be on your fantasy radar. And then Hayden Hurst, great blocking tight end, can do it as a receiver a little bit, got some speed to him. And then you throw in Kyle Pitts. You're going to have potentially a top 5 wide receiver. Potentially. I don't think Ridley's there yet. I have him wide receiver 7 or 8, but he could be a top 5 production guy this season. Kyle Pitts could be the outlier, could be the modern day Mike Ditka in terms of production as a rookie tight end. Don't knock it until you see it. I know people are trying to put him into the top 10 right now. I don't buy it yet. He wasn't considered in my top 100. He's going to be great. I know he was, I think, number 1 on my board. Maybe Sewell was, but regardless, you're looking at, if you're the Falcons might be the other team that says, hey, if Matt Ryan has a really good year, Arthur Smith could do it, offensive coordinator. If Matt Ryan has another MVP season, then 2022, 2023, maybe you don't want to be attached to Matt Ryan forever. Maybe you have this, all right, 2022, you're going to play 17 games with us. You're going to go out. We're going to try to win it. We're going to try to win that title. You know, I have the Falcons logo up here that you guys have seen in all my other videos. The Falcons might be able to do this. Now, I don't think Matt Ryan is going to get to this sort of point that Rodgers did with the Packers, but could have some of those dynamics of moving on before Matt Ryan retires. I feel like maybe there's a chance Matt Ryan ends his career somewhere other than Atlanta. Big Ben, pretty sure he ends his career in Pittsburgh. And with Rodgers moving into 2022, I don't think he retires. I think this is where the Denver comes in. This is where, I don't know, Miami comes in if Tua doesn't work out. I hope Tua does. You know, I have some good Dolphin friends. They know I'm a big fan of Tua. He was my quarterback 1 over Burrow until the hip injury. But yeah, fun off season. And I think it got even more fun when you put Aaron Rodgers back in Green Bay. It means Denver's going to be interesting. Shout out to AJ, who's sitting backstage. Denver's going to be interesting with Locke/Bridgewater. But hey, in the future, Aaron Rodgers might be suiting up for you. 2022, 2023, there's a chance. There's a chance more than there was earlier today. Or I'll be fair there. More, there's a higher chance that Rodgers ends his career in a different place than Green Bay than there was when I woke up this morning. So with that said, we're going to transition into some Deshaun Watson talk. Very different discussion here. Very much not a, I guess not really a Watson and Texans feud. More of a, I don't think the Texans don't want to trade Deshaun Watson, although they did come out and say, hey, we're going to start the bidding at 3 first-round picks. Only a handful of teams across the league have access to 3 first-round picks. Teams such as the Miami Dolphins, who have their first-round picks in the next 2 years, plus the pick they got from San Francisco in the trade that eventually became the Trey Lance trade. You also have Detroit. They have ammunition from the Matt Stafford trade. The New York Giants could be an interesting wild card, if you will. They have a first-round pick from Chicago. So if you're starting the bidding, Houston wants 3 first-round picks. Just flat out, Houston wants 3 first-round picks. Only a handful of teams in the NFL can offer you 3 first-round picks. Miami, New York, Detroit, teams of that nature. But if you're Houston, how do you feel about adding a quarterback back? Like, yeah, let's go trade for a couple firsts and Tua, or a couple firsts and Daniel Jones, or a couple firsts and Drew Lock. Even though Denver doesn't have 3 first-round picks moving forward, I think you'd be hesitant to do that. If I'm Nick Caserio, GM of the Texans, I'm thinking to myself, I don't want a quarterback in this trade. I don't want a Deshaun Watson replacement. unless it's a pick. If it's a pick, then you might get a Deshaun Watson replacement. I don't want a Deshaun Watson replacement. I don't want Tua. As much as I personally love Tua, I don't want Tua. I don't want Locke. Well, that's regardless. I don't want Locke. I don't want Daniel Jones. And I'm going to write it out with Tyrod Taylor, and you can try Davis Mills. And hey, we're going to suck this year. We're going to suck. We might go 1-16. We're going to suck. But, you're going to get your pick of the litter, number 1 overall pick in the 2022 draft. Whether it's Rattler, whether it's Howell, I like Howell, whether it's Ritter from Cincinnati, whoever it is, if someone makes a Joe Burrow-ish rise, Kyler rise, I get it. That can happen for sure. But you take the guy number 1, and guess what? You're going to use that, 14th pick you got from the Giants. I guess it might be higher with Deshaun. You're going to get maybe the 24th pick from the Giants, Dolphins, whomever that you trade with. And you're going to get their other pick. So San Francisco's pick or Chicago's pick, whatever. You're going to get probably 3 first-round picks in the 2022 draft. You get your quarterback, and you get I don't know the 2022 draft super well, but you get blue chipper at 1. Your quarterback, you don't. This is a Trevor Lawrence thing. You don't have to worry about who Jacksonville takes at 1. The Jets. Your guy. If it's the equivalent of Zach Wilson, take him. If it's the equivalent of Lawrence, take him. If it's the equivalent of Fields, take him. Mac Jones. If you take an equivalent to Mac Jones, I question your intelligence, but that's beside the point. This is a squad that is not going to play well, is not going to, I don't want to say compete, because I actually like what they've done relative to what your expectations are with the Texans and the Bill O'Brien era, and now it's Nick Caserio. But I think you're looking at a team that is going to go 1-16 or 2-15 and be the worst team in the NFL. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if they have the number 1 pick. They might not even have to trade into the number 1 pick. Now they can get assets to do so, but I think that would set them back. And I think you'd rather have a little bit of a roll of the dice at quarterback, go from quarterback 1 to quarterback 2. And remember, everyone's draft board is different. Look no further than the 2018 draft. People had Lamar number 1. People had Allen number 1. People had Darnold number 1. People had Rosen number 1. People had Baker number 1. 5 different guys could have gone 1. 5 different guys could have gone number 5. So you look at it, and nowadays, of course, it's really an Allen, Baker, Lamar race. But at that point in history, you're looking at it right now. The Texans, I think, would be better off with a quarterback 2. And maybe go 4-13. That sounds like a stretch. 4-13. Get like the 4th pick. Take the other Howell / Rattler. Or hey, if Davis Mills does something, you can take a guy like Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon. You can take one of the ridiculous Alabama offensive linemen. I believe they have another one. You might, I don't know. Chris Olave could have a breakout huge season. Stingely. Houston has so many holes that it's not a stretch just to call them the worst offense and the worst defense. It does start at quarterback, of course, but hey, you have Davis Mills. You can say, all right, Davis Mills, we're going to throw you in for, 34 games over the next 2 years, whatever. Maybe start Tyrod in 2021, Davis Mills in 2022. And then 2023, you're going to that draft board and you're saying, I want a quarterback. And you have all of those picks, first round picks as ammunition. You didn't waste a first round pick on a quarterback and say, okay, Miami, we want either 3 firsts or 2 firsts and Tua. I would take 3 firsts 100%. And you guys know I love Tua. So we have Frankie waiting backstage and we have Jack waiting backstage. So Jack, I'm going to throw you in. Frankie, you can come in.
He'll be in a moment.
How's it going, Jack?
Mic? Did you get a new mic?
No, I just moved it away from my face. It's connected to my water bottle right now. If you can see like the white part right there. So
it sounds a lot cleaner.
Thank you. I was watching one of our clips and it's like, my audio sucks. I'm going to do better. So here we are. We're doing better. How's it going, Jack?
The world is ending right now as far as Green Bay is concerned.
Yes. We have Ragnarok up there in Lambeau.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of unexpected, honestly. I mean, the whole Aaron Rodgers saga, honestly, unexpected because you didn't think that this was going to happen coming into the offseason. Aaron Rodgers coming off one of his best seasons ever. You and I have him ranked as probably the best quarterback in the league.
Yes.
And then he just out of nowhere, I think it was either Schefter or Rappaport. I think it was Schefter.
Yeah, Schefter right before the draft.
Coming out with a report saying he's unhappy with the situation in Green Bay. What entirely, other than I would say maybe the draft situation, because we know how Green Bay's been with their drafts as of late.
Oof.
What is there to be unhappy about? You have your buddy in Davante Adams. You have a really solid offensive line. Speaking of that offensive line, I think David Bakhtiari tweeted about how he was unhappy that Aaron Rodgers didn't tell the team that he planned to stay in Green Bay for at least this next coming year. I don't know what's going on. It's crazy. It's a mess.
It's weird. It is. It does kind of remind us all of The Last Dance. Of course, there were the fist bumps, posted by both Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers. Late, was it Friday night? Late Something Friday night, late Saturday night. It's like 3 a.m. I'm talking, and there's like, what are you doing? I don't know. I don't know what goes through these athletes' heads. I'm obviously not Aaron Rodgers. If I was, I think being Aaron Rodgers would be pretty cool. Actually, if you could be an NFL player, which one would you be?
It would probably be Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this dude's gotten to do a lot of cool things. He hosted Jeopardy, which I think is sick. Yeah. That was really cool. He said he put in a ton of practice work for that too. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, honestly, that would be a pretty sick gig to host Jeopardy. I mean, Brady, of course, would be cool.
Yeah, Tom Brady would be cool. I feel like Tom Brady enjoys himself a lot.
Patrick Mahomes has a lot of money coming in.
He's enjoying life right now. He's co-owning the Kansas City Royals too. I think that's pretty cool.
That is so funny. That is so funny.
It would probably be Aaron Rodgers though. I feel like because
Rodgers is an interesting one.
You're the guy in Green Bay, which is probably the most popular team in the league. I mean, they're owned by their fans. I'd say they're up there.
Actually,
sure,
I own a share of the Green Bay Packers.
Nice.
Yeah, I got a little postcard in the mail the other day. I don't know where it is, but it said seize your ownership vote or something like that. So that's pretty cool. I'll look for it and I can post a picture on the app. But with that said, with the Deshaun Watson rumors, where do you think the best landing spot is? Oh, okay. I guess let me back up. First of all, does Deshaun Watson play in 2021? Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
I don't think he does. I think he's serious with his holdout, and I feel like for a team to come up with the assets for Deshaun Watson, I feel like that's going to take some time. I'll put it this way: I don't think he starts playing at the beginning of 2021.
Okay. So he's not going to start week 1.
No, I think the only reason he showed up to camp was so that he could avoid the fine. I think it was like 10,000
a day. It's 50K a day.
50K a day. Yeah. He wanted to avoid that. So that's why he's showing up there. But I think he's serious with this whole holdout thing. So
say what you will about NFL, athletes in general and making a lot of money. But if you are going to cost yourself $350,000 in a week, Deshaun Watson's going to make perhaps hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm aware of that. But losing $350K in a week like that, or even you're talking, you're losing $500K in 10 days. Like if I'm a player, I'd rather go to camp and just screw around and then buy a Maserati for, I don't know how much Maseratis cost, buy a car for $500K than just sit on the side, just hold out and waste your $500K. So you don't think he starts week 1? Fair, right?
No, he does not start week 1. I think he will play at some point if he gets traded in the middle of the season. Okay. It's just, does a team have what it takes to be able to trade for Deshaun Watson mid-season? Do they have what it takes to come up with the assets for him? I think that's the question.
For sure. And this is something that actually Antifa Alec, shout out to Alec, he posted on the app concerning Rodgers, but I think it applies to Watson, that if you wanted to trade Watson, really the time was at the draft, because you have access to this year's picks and the next 2. Right now, you only have access to the 2022 picks and 2023 picks. So there's limited mobility there. At draft day, you could have said, hey, Miami, you're going to trade us. What did they end up with? 6. You're going to trade us 18, and you're going to trade us your next year's pick and 2023 pick. They could have gotten 4 picks or more from Miami, and now you're kind of sitting there you're not going to get 4 picks, and it's hard to trade a quarterback midseason. What's going on, Frankie?
Dude, I'm getting dinner at Whole Foods. I have a nice buffet set up for myself, trying to eat healthy again. I'm sitting there. I turn on my phone, or I look at my phone, and I see a clip of me from how long ago was that clip?
I think it was May 12th. Middle of May.
Freaking 12th. I mean, unbelievable. You take a clip from May of me saying, and honestly, I think I was pretty. I wasn't that off. I mean,
I'll give you some credit. There were some valid points there, and I think the relationship is at this point irretrievable. They're just working it out for one more chance at a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Is it official, by the way? Is Rodgers definitely back?
I don't believe it's official just yet, but it's like getting tweeted by all the people.
Yeah.
I think it's like unofficially official, if that means anything to you. So I think you're at a point
like Rap tweeted it, so it's pretty much you assume it's correct.
Yeah. So just to finish this little Splash beef I have right now. So Splash, you put this clip on of me saying there's no shot he's going to come back. Okay, whatever. Now, what you failed to post or show was I was one of the few in the company that had access to a story that Rodgers was definitely coming back. And we actually posted it on our Instagram a long time ago saying that Rodgers would be back. And we had an insider that kind of tipped us off with that information that was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. So
that's fair. That's fair. I was unaware.
That, so I'm just
hands up. Hands up.
Right.
I was unaware of that. I vividly remember like painstakingly downloading it on my phone, cutting out a 3-minute chunk of you saying you owe me a jersey if Aaron Rodgers plays week 1. So, and I posted on the app. It's like, this is going to happen. And what jersey should I get?
I mean, to be fair, it's not week 1 yet, so we'll see.
You're right. You're right.
My word. Splash. He inks that deal in and he shows up. I got you, man.
Okay. Awesome.
Contract.
All right.
Contract needs to be signed though, and then
jersey play week 1 against the Bears. I actually called the Bears thing too. That was pretty cool. Although, that's a pretty obvious pick there for Chicago. So with that said, Frankie, how do you feel about the whole Rodgers?
You guys, come on.
How do you feel about Rodgers in this like Michael Jordan aura, last dance? You know, he's only won the one title. He has a bunch of NFC title game losses. Is Aaron Rodgers trying to overstate his legacy a little bit here, or are you totally cool with it? Are you totally cool with Adams saying he's Scotty to Aaron Rodgers, MJ?
I think it's crazy, man. I mean, put it in the proper perspective. I mean, Michael Jordan had won 5 rings at that point. So Rodgers has won 1. Adams hasn't even gone to a Super Bowl. I understand what they're trying to do, but this is my issue with Aaron Rodgers as a leader. I think sometimes he lets his ego get the best of him a bit. He knows how good he is. He knows how talented he is. And often MVP. I mean, it's like what Giannis was saying. People that, your ego is talking about your past. And I think Rodgers just loves to embrace his greatness, which he is, but he needs to, I think, focus a little bit more on his teammates, his coaching staff, winning this season. Someone was even saying it this morning on ESPN, how he should be working out with the guys more often and less, traveling to watch the Kentucky Derby and playing in these golf outings. What is Rodgers really doing to win a Super Bowl? Now, I do think at this point, I think the NFC is a little weak.
Fair.
So
sure.
I do think that the AFC is a tougher conference this upcoming season. So if the Packers do have a shot to get a little bit of a gimme conference, if that even exists, but it doesn't seem like the NFC is anything like it was, 2 or 3 years ago. So I think that if the Packers play well, I mean, they could easily make it to the conference championship again. Who's going to really be in their way? I mean, the Bucks are the only real team I can think of. The Saints are going to fall off with Drew not being there. Who in the NFC East? The Cowboys. So I mean, they're gonna. You guys are that Cam Akers injuries. Was bad,
yeah,
man.
it's brutal. But I still think they've got a pretty solid offense. overall. The offensive line, I think, is the biggest question. But other than that, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I feel like what you were saying, though, about the whole leadership thing. Remember I mentioned this, I just mentioned this a couple minutes ago. Bakhtiari tweeted, wow, guess we aren't close people at Aaron Rodgers. So, like, maybe there's a bit of a disconnect between Rodgers and his teammates now that you bring that up.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know what that meant. I don't know where that came from. I don't know if it was an inside joke between him and Rodgers. It may have seemed like something like that, where Rodgers is like talking to Bakhtiari in a text potentially, or they're speaking in some regard, and Rodgers is like, I didn't tell that to anybody. And Bakhtiari's like, yeah, I guess I'm not close people to you. And Rodgers knows that he's going to say that. It might have been like a little bit of an inside thing.
Maybe.
But
For sure.
I don't know. I doubt Bakhtiari's going to put that out there at this point as if he's not close with Rodgers. Doesn't that seem like it's, badly timed, especially considering they were just working out together, 2 days ago?
It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek to me. It's like how
Yeah.
Robert Tonyan came in out of the blue and posted, was it a Dennis Rodman, like the jagged hair. It's like, I'm sure Robert Tonyan may or may not have been in on the initial Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers post, the Last Dance clip. But I think it's funny, and I think it's a little tongue-in-cheek that Bakhtiari knows he's close with Rodgers, maybe as close as anyone in the Packers organization with Rodgers, and it's just little nudge, nudge. He actually told me, but I'm going to tweet out as if, oh, we're not friends or whatever. So there's some of the little bit of that like high school drama that Bree talked about in the original
plays with
episode.
people's emotions though all the time.
So
Yeah.
the
other thing with
Aaron
the Last
Rodgers,
Dance is the other thing with the Last Dance is just to give one last thought on it. When the Last Dance was happening with the Chicago Bulls, nobody knew it was going to be the Last Dance.
right?
I mean, Michael Jordan never announced he was going to retire that season.
Mm-hmm.
So after that final series versus Utah, it took, I think, about a month before Jordan officially retired. So it wasn't like they knew that. I mean, they knew in house they were, but the media had no idea. So it seems a little bit strange. I always get a little bit weary when these NFL teams come out on this big media circus before the season, and they're proclaiming how good they're going to be. I remember when the Eagles had that super
Dream Team Eagles, Vince
Dream
Young,
Team Eagles, whatever. I mean,
Asamoah. Oh my lord,
yeah,
that was a
like
mess.
You can't come out like that. Football's not a game like that. Basketball, a little bit. If you have the best talent in basketball, you have two of the top, 6 or 7 players in the league, you can talk some ish. But football, it's a different game.
For sure. And I know, Frankie, you were around during part of MJ's career. Jack and I weren't, besides maybe the Wizards days for a little bit. From what I know about the MJ in 98 and moving into 99, I feel like he plays if there's no lockout, but with the in 99, if they have a normal off season, if they play 82 games, I think MJ returns. I don't think Pippen returns. I could be totally off base, but from what I've read about Michael, what I've read about what I've seen about that team, that the lockout's a big reason why the Bulls didn't go for their 7th ring there. So if you could speak to that at all, or we can talk about anything else.
Well, I don't know too much about that right now. I mean, I've read things in the past about it. What I do know is the Bulls were going through some salary issues. So there were a lot of players that were looking for new deals, and they knew they weren't going to be able to keep that core. So it was a situation where Michael wanted more money. Obviously, Scotty did. I don't know if it was Dennis or there was another. Their guard at the time was looking for a deal as well. I don't know. I don't think it was. Was it
Harper Kerr? I mean, Kukoc.
I don't know. It might have been. I don't remember, but I recall they had a wing player looking for a new deal, and with the lockout and potentially a salary cap reduction, it was just not going to happen. So they all kind of split ways. But I can't recall everything with that. It was a long time ago. I was young too at the time. Honestly, I was
for sure.
I was 12, 13. I don't freaking know.
Right. So
way before our time.
Yeah, in the theme of The Last Dance, I came up with 2 quarterbacks that I thought they could have like one final ride with their teams in the next year or two. Ben Roethlisberger, I think, would be one final chance at a Super Bowl and then he retires. Matt Ryan could be a one final year with the Falcons and then he goes somewhere else. San Francisco would have been an option before they drafted Trey Lance. Are there any guys in the NFL that you think could have a Rodgers-esque sort of the last dance with their team either this year or next year?
I mean, it's a good question. I think Roethlisberger's one that comes to mind. I think with Ben, though, it does depend a little bit on how the team performs and how he's doing with his health at the end of the season. I think if the team performs decently well and he's healthy, he'll come back. On the other side, I think if the team performs badly and his health deteriorates, he's not going to come back. So I think it just depends on him. I was looking today. I mean, I totally forgot they even had Dwayne Haskins. It just popped up on my Instagram feed. I'm like, damn, they have Haskins, and he's posting about how excited he is for the season. So I don't think he's an option for them at all. He's a backup at this point, but I do think that the Steelers, they're gonna be looking for outs at the end of this season. From Ben for sure. I mean, they have to. But yeah, I would say. I mean, I was hoping Breeze was going to give it one more year. I thought I wanted to see that happen. Yeah, I mean, what other quarterback could there be on that list? I mean, it's Brady maybe, but he wants to play another 2 years.
I was thinking Stafford, but of course Stafford's with the Rams now, so there's no one final ride in there. Final ride in Detroit. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on the Deshaun Watson ordeal. First off, if/when Deshaun Watson gets traded, what team will he be suiting up for? Miami, New York Giants, Denver, a wild card team. So, Jack, you go first. Where do you think Deshaun Watson plays his next down of football?
I don't know if they can trade for him entirely, but Denver is probably the best fit for him out of those couple teams that you mentioned, because I don't know what the Dolphins' stance on Tua is. And Tua, I feel like, didn't show all that he could do last season. I feel like Tua's got a lot more potential. I feel like he can do a lot more than he showed, but it's the thing is, comparing the quarterback situation to those teams you just mentioned, Broncos with Drew Lock. I mean, enough said, right?
Yeah, man, our favorite.
We always bring that up.
We can make a career off of roasting Drew Lock, but Drew Lock's not going to have a long enough career to do so. Sorry, Skip Bayless.
Yeah. I feel like that would be a really good fit, though. Drew, you get Drew Lock out there, you get Deshaun in there. I mean, that first of all, that makes the whole division a lot more interesting than it already is. I feel like the AFC West has not really been talked about that much because we kind of dismissed the Chargers and the Raiders, and especially the Broncos as of late. I feel like the Raiders are slowly getting better. I feel like they're kind of creeping into that conversation a little bit. And then obviously, for as much hate as I give them, the Chargers are definitely on the come up. They've got a lot of young guys. They've got an incredible young QB with Justin Herbert. I'm still angry that we lost Brandon Staley to them. I feel like they've got a great coaching staff going on there as well. Hopefully one that doesn't make that many mistakes. But yeah, Drew Lock, Broncos, or not Drew Lock, Deshaun Watson to Broncos. I feel like that would definitely reshape the team. You could rebuild around him. He's definitely got what it takes, I feel like, to bring the Broncos back from obscurity. It really just depends on the supporting cast as well. I feel like that's a big factor. So
for sure. I'll toss it to Frankie. Frankie, where will Deshaun Watson play his next down of football?
Well, you guys want a hot take, or you want a cold one or a hot one? What do you want?
I want spicy.
One of Frankie's freezing takes. I can grab the hot take meter if you want.
No, let's do a spicy take.
All right.
I'm Calabrese. You know about the Calabrese peppers and sausage. It's very, very spicy. Some of the spiciest in the world, by the way.
Yeah.
So, all right, hot take. Ding, ding, ding. Drew Lock is a better value at quarterback moving forward than Tua Tagovailoa.
I'm getting the graphic. You're on the graphic, Frankie.
I'd rather invest in Drew Lock than Tua. Absolutely. Drew Lock is 6'4". He was more prototypical. He's had no injury concerns. He played okay in some games last year. I like his swag a bit. I don't like anything about Tua, to be honest. I like one thing about Tua. He's a little bit ballsy with the ball, but that is going to get him in trouble. That will get Tua in trouble because of his size, and this isn't Alabama anymore where you're just going to play schoolyard ball, throwing it all over the field and expecting your receivers to make plays left and right, which they did for him last year in Miami, or the games that he played well in. He was throwing it up for Davante Parker, Mike Gesicki, and they're two very underrated options. And I don't know where this hate for people like don't look at Davante Parker as being a top tier receiver. Newsflash, I don't know. This is another hot take. Davante Parker is the top 20 receiver in football. Ooh. Absolutely. He is. Davante Parker. You don't have 1,400 in yards and change by mistake. I mean, it happens once in a while if you're Brandon Lloyd or maybe
Josh Gordon.
But Josh Gordon was really good.
Love Josh.
But
game-winning touchdown one-handed in the FCF.
Yeah.
Never forget.
Davante Parker's a nice player, man. People don't put enough emphasis on what that guy does tracking the ball up in the air. He's good, man. He's really good. So he had 1,200 yards and change, and he had 9 touchdowns, which is impressive. Last year, he was on pace to do something similar, if not for his injuries. But I think Deshaun Watson to just play off that needs to go and play with those guys. He needs to go to Miami. Miami needs to trade whatever they can to bring him in. It just makes too much sense for me. I think him and Flores would be a great combo. I think Miami isn't the biggest football media market per se. They tend to fly a little bit under the radar. The AFC East, there's going to be a lot of talk with the Bills. Always going to have it with New England at this point, and the Jets as always too. So he can fly a little bit under the radar in Miami. Denver, he could as well. He could also, but I don't think Elway's ready to jump off that block train just yet. I think he's going to give him one more year. And so one more year, Daniel Jones in New York, he has one more year also. So that's another team that for Deshaun Watson, for me as a fan, that makes a ton of sense. I mean, go there, play with Kenny Galladay you just brought in. They're saying if the Giants trade for Watson, Ingram would probably be part of that deal in some way. Houston doesn't have a tight end. So you'd have maybe a Daniel Jones Ingram package, which is very unlikely to see a quarterback tight end. But you
need picks in there.
But 2 first-round picks. If I'm the Dolphins, I give him 2 first-round picks, and I give up an asset here or there, and I try to bring in Deshaun Watson. I mean, listen. It's a coin toss whether or not Tua is going to be good. You literally flip a coin, yes or no. Maybe you guys think Lock's going to be worse. We could flip a coin on Lock also. But I'm just saying, both of those teams, let's just be honest, they have to make a move to try to get Deshaun Watson. And so do the Giants. Daniel Jones is a coin toss. Maybe he's a 60% versus a 50-50 with Tua and Lock. But Daniel Jones is another one. You can't – the top 5 quarterbacks out there, you can't just – assume that your guy is going to be even top 10 at some point when you're talking from the position of the Broncos, Giants, and Dolphins. So they have to go and try to make a move for Watson. I don't understand why people are saying it's crazy. I know 3 first-rounders is a lot, but I think
it's Deshaun Watson. I don't think it's that crazy for a guy like Deshaun Watson.
QB3, potentially QB3. You have I think there's a solid argument he was a better quarterback last season than Mahomes, and he was a better quarterback last season than Josh Allen. So if you're telling me you're going to get the best quarterback in the AFC over 2 guys that received MVP votes and would have won MVP if Aaron Rodgers doesn't have one of the greatest quarterback seasons ever, you're getting that in Deshaun Watson, who's 25, 26. That's worth trading 3 first-round picks for. So I'm going to bring back to the Drew Lock take. I will admit I'm a huge fan of Tua, and he was my number 1 quarterback on my board until he injured his hip at Alabama. Even over Burrow, he would have been the number 1 prospect on my board over Chase Young with no injury concerns. But I understand the hesitation with Tua. I get it. I'm more willing to give Tua 2022 I'm more willing to give Tua a second year than I am to give Drew Lock a 3rd year or Daniel Jones a 3rd year. I think Miami can be really good this year. I think Tua, there was a report that he was throwing a lot of interceptions in camp. If we remember, Jimmy Garoppolo threw a lot of interceptions in camp before 2018. Or before 2019, Niners went to the Super Bowl. In 2018, before Patrick Mahomes Pat Mahomes was the starter, but he threw a lot of interceptions in camp. People's like, oh, he only played one game in 2017. It's bad that he's throwing interceptions. Then he came out and had one of the most ridiculous seasons of all time. I don't think the interceptions matter here. Tua is a guy that I trust Tua to make the right decision. I trust him to be accurate with the football. I don't trust Drew Lock to be 5% of either of those things, 1% of either of those things. Some Madden ratings dropped today. If you go into like maybe decision making, Drew Lock is a negative. At least with Daniel Jones, it's not his decision to get strip sacked a bunch. It's not his decision to fumble the football. With Lock, there are so many asinine throws. Like you're talking some of the worst just decisions I've ever seen. And I watched Lamar Jackson and Joe Flacco. Like as like a connoisseur of like awful decision making, especially with Flacco. Lamar has some weird ones too. But as a connoisseur of bad decision making, and then every time we play Pittsburgh, Lamar turns AWOL. Drew Lock might be the worst decision maker I've ever seen. Yeah, he has a cannon. I remember someone on the app posted a meme, and it was like tall, white, and big arm. And that was it. That was the entire Drew Lock draft profile. So I just disagree there. I think that's a Pepper X take. I think
Drew Lock, that game that he played in Carolina. Do you remember that game where he threw for 4 touchdowns and his top receiver was KJ Hamler? He had
Carolina
6 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'm just saying,
Frankie, I think you could start on the defense, man.
Hey, I'm just saying, Drew Lock, Tua. If Tua was worth much, they're not taking him out at the end of games like they were last year. I mean, he's playing almost like he's splitting. Like if you're ever splitting time as a quarterback for the most part with a veteran like Ryan Fitzpatrick, I mean, what does it really say about you as a quarterback for that team moving forward? I mean, you have coaches that know you, that you practice with. There's obviously no trust there.
I mean, I think that's fair, but at the same time, Miami was in a unique situation that they're a roster that I think, if you exclude quarterback, they're a playoff roster. I'd say you just need more consistent quarterback play. So Miami was trying to capitalize and say, "Hey, let's make the playoffs. You know, let's push for these playoffs." And I think if you're any other team in the league, if they were maybe a little bit better around Tua or a little bit worse around Tua, I don't think you have the flip-flop. So I think that's a 1 in a million sort of scenario down there in Miami. And I don't put much stock into it because Fitzpatrick, as he's grown older, has become surprisingly less volatile. He does have those stinkers from time to time. I remember he opened 2019 with a couple stinkers. But last year, he was a pretty solid quarterback. And if it wasn't for the name on the back of his jersey and the beard, and you replaced that with generic quarterback 15, not even 14, I think you have a pretty solid quarterback. And I think you look at Tua coming off the hip injury, which of course is a red flag, but coming off of hip injury, COVID off season, and he wasn't supposed to be the starter week 1. And a guy like that sort of adversity can cause greatness, I think. Justin Herbert had no idea he was starting, gets thrust in. He's awesome. Lamar Jackson, they said, okay, going into the bye week, we're going to start Lamar the next week. Lamar had 2 weeks to prepare for Cincinnati, and then he, goes on the 6-1 run. He didn't play very well, but Baltimore won 6 of the last 7. I think Tua is a guy that when he answered the call to adversity, it was not the way that it needed to be for him. And I think if you go through the entire offseason and say, hey, you're the starter, Jacoby Brissett is just here because in case you die, Jacoby Brissett's going to come in and play. I think Tua is going to be a lot better this season. I project him as a top 25 quarterback. And outside of, I don't know, Darnold imploding in Carolina, which I don't think he'll be as bad as he was with the Jets, with all due respect, I don't see Drew Lock. I have not seen enough out of Drew Lock against any team other than the Houston Texans in 2019 and the Carolina game, whatever, but it's Carolina. I don't really see it out of Drew Lock. And if we're talking about win game,
but Splash, what is Tua's game? I mean, like
this game.
What is his? And to be honest, I don't understand why they why they signed a player like Will Fuller, knowing that this guy has a limited deep ball. Clearly, I mean, that arm isn't a big arm. That honestly is probably more reason than not to bring in or look seriously into bringing in Deshaun Watson. I think teaming up Watson and Fuller in Miami would be sick. We didn't even bring him up talking about Devontae Parker before.
Yeah. And you throw in Jalen Waddle as well, although Waddle had lots and lots of success with Tua in 2019, and he was injured, of course, in 2020. But
I just don't know what Tua's game is. Is he a dink and dunk style quarterback? Is he a big arm kind of guy? Can he improvise? And Alabama, he was improvising a lot, finding time, and then he'd be able to find open receivers with that hip injury. I mean, it seems like he's on a crash course there.
It really set him back. Yeah. It really did set him back.
I'm going to go, two directions here. So I would say Tua's game is think Drew Brees in your head. Just think Drew Brees. I'm not saying Tua is Drew Brees, but think Drew Brees early in his Saints career, that he's not like his running around is very different from Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes running around. But think like that's Tua's mobility, maybe a little bit extra juice. So Tua has that escapability a little bit, but I think one thing that he's going to learn, one, coming off of a hip injury, a major injury to your legs, two, he's now playing against NFL defenses, that he's not going to be creating rushing yards, but instead he is going to be extending the play like a Big Ben would do in his younger days, that he's not necessarily looking for rushing yards. He's looking for a guy to get open just a hair. And Tua, even in college, was NFL accurate. That's Tua's calling card was accuracy. That's why he actually got real Drew Brees comparisons. He is as accurate of a quarterback as I've seen. Burrow is very accurate. Fields is incredibly accurate. But I think you look at Tua is incredibly accurate.
Let's go, Splash. We need some commentating here. Oh, right.
Oh boy.
Look at this.
Okay, we got old man with
Tua's
beard.
in. It's 24-0. Let's go. Oh, okay. Ooh.
Like what kind of first of all, what kind of play is that? The offensive line just pour there. If you have two guys in your face like this, like there's issues.
Don't talk to me about this game.
Yeah, with that one, you're going to fire it in. Red zone,
to be honest.
Tua is a guy that I think is going to be exceptional in the red zone. And with Fuller and with Jalen Waddle, you say, oh, well, deep balls. I'm thinking yards after the catch. Tua is a guy that is going to put the ball in the right spot. This is what the difference between, say, Lamar being catchably inaccurate, as I like to put it, and Brady being accurate and yards after catch. Brady made a career out of throwing it short of the sticks and getting the first down. He made a career out of 3rd and 7. He throws it for 6. His guy gets 9.
That is true. But Splash, are you seeing that? I don't know. I don't see the ball placement. I don't see the anticipation as much as I do from someone like Tom or Drew. I mean, we're comparing him to them, obviously, but with those certain limitations that he seems to have, and it's not like he has that big Russell Wilson arm. I don't know. There's something.
I think like that's a pretty ball. I think that's a well placed ball. But was you first off, with the whole Brees and Brady comparison, Tua is just a more athletic than those guys. So I think you have fewer he can have a mobile pocket like that. That's a nice throw there to Gesicki. But you're looking at with Tua, we've seen with Allen and Lamar, for instance, accuracy can develop. And if you're in this situation that he's chaos, what is prompting Tua to be, push the ball down the field, make throws 40 yards down the field when he knows if he throws an interception, Fitzpatrick is coming in. So I think Tua played timid a lot of 2020, and he's a guy that I trust in 2021 that he's going to play with some swagger, and he didn't play with swagger in 2020. He was not a good quarterback in 2020.
Oh, look at him there. Let's go, Tua. You saw a tackle. Let's go.
2020 Tua is not a very good quarterback. I get it. I think 2021 Tua, you're going to have some swagger, some of that. I belong here. Tua is going to say, I belong in the NFL. I'm going to hit, Waddle, get yards after the catch. I'm going to hit Fuller, get yards after the catch. I'm going to hit Gesicki. And I trust Tua a lot more than I trust Locke. I know what I'm going to get from Tua. Locke, just all of the, I think there were some crossed wires in his brain that there's maybe a 5% chance every throw that I'm just going to throw it to the opposition. I'm just going to throw it to the Chief. I'm going to throw it to Honey Badger. I'm going to throw it to Derwin James when he's healthy. I'm going to throw it to Marcus Peters week 3. I'm going to throw it to Jonathan Abram, whatever it may be. I don't trust Locke's decision-making. I trust Tua's decision-making, and I think Tua is on an upward trend because he does not have the pressure of Fitzpatrick, and he knows, hey, if I push this ball, and he's pushing the balls in practice, if I push this ball down the field, I'm not going to get yanked from this game.
Let's get some Drew Lock highlights up in her. Oh, look at it. That's a throw. Damn, it took watching 3 minutes of Tua's highlights and them to end and throwing on Drew Lock highlights to actually see some throws.
Demonetization.
Oh, that's a throw. Look at that. Look at that yak right there. Come on, guys.
But Tua
against the Patriots
defense
defense missing all those starters.
Good point, Jack. W there, buddy. I
I
trust Tua more.
He can throw Lock a little bit. I mean, listen.
It's not a bad throw.
Like, the arm is good. Like, I'm not going to deny that. There's a reason it's tall, white, big arm, but the brain is just not there. I don't want to call it quarterback dumb. There's obviously the intricacies in an NFL offense go way. The issue was, I guess knowledge of the playbook. I think that's a little overblown, but now he doesn't have a guy like pressuring him to be conservative. I think he can be aggressive this year. I think he can let it fly. And at Alabama, there's a reason he holds the all-time record for career passing efficiency there. Yes, he had 4 future first-round picks, but guess what? You have 2 guys that were picked in the first round on your team. You have Mike Gesicki, a top 10 tight end. You have a guy in Preston Williams that I love. You have a guy in Lynn Bowden that is going to be – he might be the maniac guy in that offense. I can't wait to see that. The offensive line is growing. But I do want to transition to Daniel Jones before we wrap up the Watson trade point.
Let's please not do that. Well, I was going to end with one thing on Drew Lock.
Okay.
If he gets the opportunity this season and they protect him with those weapons out there, don't be surprised if he has a better season than you expected, because with Jerry Jeudy, with Sutton coming back, they have a nice Noah Fant. They have a nice
love Fant.
They have a nice core there. So
I do like that core.
Drew, don't be surprised if he doesn't have a better season than you expected.
I think that's fair, but at a certain point, I'm going to judge quarterbacks like on more of an eye test. So if you're going to throw a 5-yard pass to Jeudy and he takes it to the house, okay, there were plenty of throws in 2020 that Locke actually made and were good throws and Jeudy dropped, and there were plenty of throws that Locke missed that Jeudy couldn't catch. So I may be too hard on Drew Lock from time to time. I think he's quarterback 32 right now. And can he be better? Absolutely. He has, again, the arm is there. It's just the decision-making. He hasn't proved to me that he can go 10 minutes without self-destructing. And as much as I joke about, say, Jarrett Stidham for being a walking self-destruct button, I don't think Drew Lock is as bad as Jarrett Stidham. Drew Lock can start in an NFL game and not be abysmal.
This sounds a lot like Jared Goff last year.
Yeah.
I'm noticing a lot of similarities.
Yeah, Splash. That's Jared Goff is not as good as Drew Lock. Mitch Trubisky is not as good as Drew Lock.
I trust their decision making a lot more than I trust Lock's.
Mitch Trubisky's.
I know. I'm not saying if this is like a Shaq free throw versus a Shaq 3-pointer. There we go. Shaq was 1 for 22 from 3-point line. That's Drew Lock's decision making. 1 out of 22 times he's going to make the right decision. Mitch Trubisky is going to make the right decision about 40% of the time. We'll go Ben Wallace, peak Drummond, Dwight Howard. We're talking. I don't have much trust in it. It's not a Steph Curry layup. It's not a LeBron dunk, but I do trust Trubisky. Was a conduit for Matt Nagy, and he made it work. They went 12-4. They had a good enough offense to support. I was an elite defense, of course, but they had a good enough offense to win 12 games. You don't win 12 games off having just an elite defense. We saw that with the 2019 Steelers. Mitch Trubisky has led a competent NFL offense before. I haven't seen Drew Lock do that for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, there's no indication at this point that the Denver Broncos are looking seriously at Deshaun Watson. There have
Fair.
been no
Yeah,
confirmed
that's fair.
reports there. So we'll see what happens. But it seems like they're going to be gung-ho on at least giving Drew Lock one more year before they start looking elsewhere next offseason. I think at this point we can just say it's down to what? The Dolphins. Some people have brought up the Washington football team. I see a fan in here earlier said the Eagles are definitely interested in have the draft capital. The Eagles would be an interesting team for Deshaun. They have some assets on that offense. They have a nice offensive line that is hopefully going to be healthy for their fans this year. Their defense is always pretty stout. So we'll see. I think Watson and Philly would be interesting. I don't know if that doesn't seem like it's a possibility though, honestly.
Yeah,
No.
I think that's the one that gets a lot of buzz. Philly. I like him in New York. I don't hate Daniel Jones as much as I really probably should. He had a pretty good deep ball last season. That's going to be super valuable with Kenny Golladay and Kadarius Toney coming in. And you get Saquon back. The offensive line theoretically should be better. Thomas, second year, Pert, second year. So everything should be a little bit better there in New York. And of course, you have you bring in Golladay, you bring in Toney, and you bring in Rudolph. That should definitely help. Yeah, Philly is interesting. I think I'm expecting Jalen Hurts to do something. I'm not saying he's going to be like a superstar or anything. If I'm Philly, I'm wait and see because Philly doesn't have the talent around the quarterback to win games. If Deshaun Watson goes to Philly, you're not making the playoffs. NFC East with the NFC East caveat. You're not going to have a record. You're not going to have a top 7 record in the conference. You might make the playoffs because you win the NFC least, but you're not going to have a top 7 record in the conference. It's no different from Houston as far as I'm concerned. Like outside of maybe some front 7 talent, you still have Fletcher Cox. You have an elite corner, semi-elite corner in Darius Slay. You have Miles Sanders. You have some pieces in Philly, but it's not a very good team. There's a reason they're at the bottom of almost every power ranking.
You think if Deshaun Watson goes to Philly, you think they're not going to make the playoffs?
No. Well, again,
we think they'll make it because
NFC East caveat. So they're not going to be I wouldn't call them a legitimate playoff team.
They won't have a winning record. They'll be like Washington this last year.
Like 2019 Washington or 2020 Washington, 2010 Seattle, 2014 Carolina. We're talking about a team that is going to get dispatched early in the they're going to could make the playoffs. They're not a Super Bowl threat.
I don't know,
man.
I don't know if they're not a Super Bowl threat, but I think if you get Deshaun in there, someone who's played with a lot worse talent in Houston to a team that recently won a Super Bowl. I mean, we're not talking about 10 years ago. I know that team's kind of cashed out, so they're not any resemblance of that winning team isn't here, but don't sleep on Philly, man. I mean, they got some grit on that squad, so I wouldn't completely write them off this year. I know everyone's talking about the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. I'd actually be less surprised if the Cowboys come out and just lay an egg this season and Dak's not Dak than I would if Philly just was awful this year and went like 4-13, to be honest. I don't know. Everyone always has these conversations with the Cowboys. It's always these hypotheticals with Amari Cooper and Zeke. The Washington football team, I'm not convinced. Any team that has Ryan Fitzpatrick coming out as their starting quarterback, can you really be that confident?
Fair.
Then you have the Giants are the one team that are complete wild card. Not having that much faith in Daniel Jones makes you not have that much faith in them. Right. So I think that Philly is the one team that, if I were to say had a chip on their shoulder and wanted to prove everyone wrong and they're flying underneath the radar, no one's really talking about them, and they have some consistency from last season, I think it's Philly. I think Philly can come out and potentially ruffle some feathers in that conference and in that division and be in a position to win the NFC East.
I think it's a fun thing to talk about. If Jalen Hurts works, like I think it could work. I really do. I like what Hurts does. I don't trust Philly to make it work, but if you put Jalen Hurts in Baltimore, I think you have a pretty good team. I love Jalen Hurts' skill set. But if Okay, look, if we're going through the Deshaun Watson trade destinations, Miami can make the playoffs this year with or without Watson. The Denver Broncos can make the playoffs with or without Deshaun Watson. The New York Giants can make the playoffs as a legitimate team, 9-8, 10-7 record, can make the playoffs with or without Deshaun Watson. I don't think the Eagles make the playoffs even with Deshaun Watson. At every other team, I think there's a solid argument. Yeah, I could see the Giants win 10 games. I could see Denver win 9 or 10 games. I could see Miami win the AFC East.
Do you know what you're not considering though in your analysis?
What's that?
With Philly? What position in football, and it's a group, does Philly maybe have the best or one of the top? They have the best in the NFC East, I think. Best O-lines, I think, in the NFC East they have. I think better than the Cowboys.
How many of those guys can apply to be senior citizens? And how
it's on paper. It's
how many
lineman, though.
how many
okay.
hospital bills did Lane Johnson have last year?
Jason Kelsey. You have Dillard, who's really good. Philly has a good offensive line. And then you have Goddard. Now they got Devonta Smith, who I really am a big fan of. And then you have Miles. You have Miles Sanders there. So I don't. Philly hurts as a baller. People are sleeping on Philly. And then on defense, you're going to have the same kind of defense you've had, which has been solid. You'll have your Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham. So, I mean, people are sleeping on Philly. That division's not. Do you really think if the Washington football team plays Philly that they're going to what? They're going to sweep the floor with them? It's going to be a one possession game.
I think they're going to beat. I think they beat Philly. I would comfortably bet on that game. If it's Washington minus, 5, I would comfortably bet on Washington, put $10 on Washington that day. I get it with Philly. The offensive line on paper is good, but actually I posted about this earlier on the app that I think the mainstream media is a little slow to change, and people will say, yeah, Jason Kelsey's still an elite center. This isn't 2018. Lane Johnson's still an elite right tackle. This isn't 2018. Actually, I love Brandon Brooks, but he is coming off of 2 serious injuries in the last, year and a half. So Brooks, I can be optimistic about. Kelsey, his best days are behind him. Lane Johnson, his best days are behind him. Kelsey's the best center in the NFC East, but your competition is Chase Rulier, who I like, but isn't like a top of the line center. I think Kelsey's been passed by Lindsley and Ragnow and Hudson, and if Jason Kelsey's like center number 4, Ryan Kelly, you can throw him in there. If he's
Lane
center
Johnson's only 31 years old, Splash. You're making it seem like the guy's 40.
I know I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you throw in some of the injuries, you throw in some of the wear and tread on the tires. I don't buy Philly as an elite offensive line in 2021. If in fairness, and I don't buy Dallas as an elite offensive line in 2021. I think outside of Zach Martin, of course, Collins is solid, whatever.
This Dillard kid, Dillard, how do you pronounce his last name? Dillard. Andre Dillard is going to have a hell of a season. Remember that. He's going to be really good at left tackle. You have Brandon Brooks coming back and Lane Johnson. Kelsey's going to give you above average production at center. You really have one spot on the offensive line that you need to account for, which is your left guard.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't trust Dillard as much. He's been all over the place in his 3 years in the NFL. So I can see the optimism if you have Kelsey, Brooks, and Johnson play like they have before. I think their best days are behind them. But hey, if they come out and play like Pro Bowlers, I'll eat my words. That's fair. Dillard, I liked him coming into the draft, but I haven't seen anything that's told me, yep, he's going to be a solid left tackle. Even a solid left tackle. Like we can say, let me use it first. Like say Ronnie Stanley. Ronnie Stanley's first 3 years in the NFL, he was a solid left tackle. I didn't expect him to become an All-Pro in 2019, but he was a solid left tackle. He was a serviceable left tackle. I haven't seen the snaps out of Dillard. Now, granted, he has been injured, and that's fair, but I haven't seen the NFL snaps out of Dillard that says, yeah, Philly's set at left tackle. You know, I've seen, say, Detroit. Taylor Decker, great. Garrett Bowles in Denver, I saw it this year, great. Colton Miller in Vegas, I saw it this year, great. Dillard, I haven't seen it yet. You know, even Titus Howard, right tackle for Houston, like I've seen some competence. I've seen him play a stretch that, okay, he's not a catastrophe at right tackle. If he's your right tackle, you can do what you want to do as an offense. You're not going to be elite. He's not He's not Mitchell Schwartz. He's not Ramczyk. He's not Wirfs. But you can do what you want to do as an offense. I think Philly is teetering on that. They're going to get run over. Say when they play Washington, I don't trust that offensive line.
I will say this. The Washington matchup is bad for Philly because how Philly will excel on offense is Jalen Hurts extending plays,
For sure.
giving time for Devonta Smith and Jalen Reagor to get open, and then you can have some big plays resulting from that. Washington, with those guys, with Sweat and Chase, you're not going to be able to extend plays like you will against the Giants or the Cowboys. So I actually think Philly, ironically, we started this debate between Philly and Washington. I think Philly will have a better record than the Washington football team, if I had to say right now.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Okay.
But if they are matched up against each other, I do think Washington has the advantage due to the fact that Jalen's not going to be able to extend plays against that defense. But I do think, I honestly do, I think we're overrating the Washington football team. They're not a good organization, A.
Okay.
B, Ryan Fitzpatrick. C, the secondary. Do we really have
I like Cameron Curl. I like Kendall Fuller. I get the hesitation, but
Chase
I
Young
think
and Sweat aren't gonna just
you
take
have
over
Ioannidis,
every
you have
game.
Payne, you have John Allen, you have probably the best defensive line in football. You have five guys.
Let's see it
that would
first.
be-
People are crowning
okay.
them a little early. Let's see. I mean,
They were nice last year. Rookie Chase Young,
here, but
Ioannidis missed most of the season. I think they have five guys that if they played by themselves, they have five guys that would have Pro Bowl caliber players on that offense or on that defensive line, but they all have to play with each other and share snaps. And that does give you the, hey, you're rotating a guy in Matt Ioannidis that's probably a top 10 interior guy. You're rotating a guy in John Allen that might be a top 10 interior guy. And you're rotating a guy in Deron Payne that might be a top 10 interior guy. Like if your interior defenseman lineman 4 is, I don't know, I don't want to say Kenny Clark good, but if you're getting 80% of Kenny Clark from your number 3 defensive tackle, there's some value there. And they have the versatility on that line that you can play. Was it a 0-3 technique? You're talking, I really like the defensive line, and the defensive line makes the rest of the defense better. Just like, say, Baltimore's secondary makes the rest of the defense better because Humphrey and Peters and whatever you get out of Clark and Elliott, whatever you get out of them, it's going to make the Matt Judons of the world be 2% better. It's going to make the Yannick Ngakwe's look 2% better. It's going to make Calais Campbell look a year younger. But I think you throw in, I think Washington has an elite defensive line. I would take it over San Francisco healthy, Pittsburgh if Dupree was still there. Maybe
if Fitzpatrick can play well, because I actually do really like Terry.
Love Terry.
Like Scary Terry. I love Logan Thomas. They got Curtis Samuel.
Love Gibson.
And Gibson's awesome. So, I mean, if their offensive line can play well, which is a toss-up, we don't know that yet.
That's fair. I like Ruyer. I like Scherf.
I think Taylor Haneke could come in. I think Haneke could come in and potentially.
That's what we've been saying.
Yeah, that doesn't play well. Yeah, if Haneke came in, I mean, he can do some things there.
He's pretty mobile. We saw him have that crazy touchdown run against the Bucks. So
that was an all-time like, what the heck is going on game? Like, if you told me that it was going to be Taylor Haneke would be the best player on the field, whoo, I would have thought you were on Mars or something. So, Frankie, I will say that your Washington points are 100% valid, and if Philly finishes better than Washington, it could happen. I just think there's a disparity in the overall talent that if Washington has a down year, Philly's not the one beating them to the division. I think it would be the Giants or Dallas, I guess. I actually trust the Giants. I trust the Giants and Washington more than the Cowboys. That's weird to say, I know, but it's a little goofy. It's a little goofy, but I don't trust Dallas's defense at all. If you're talking elite units in the division, I trust Washington's defense the most. Then I trust Joe Judge, and then like Dak and the Dallas offense. And then my Philly is a total wild card because I don't know anything about Nick Sirianni. I don't know what kind of offense he's going to do. I don't know if it's going to be like what Lamar Jackson does in Baltimore or what I desperately want the Houston Texans to do with Tyler Taylor. They brought in David Culley, of course. If they run the Baltimore offense, Philly can be successful. If they're going to try to make Jalen Hurts into a pure pocket passer, I have my reservations about it. If you're going to let Jalen be Jalen, the Eagles can be a solid offense. If you're going to force him into a box, I think it's going to blow up. So valid points all around.
I think Dallas was a lot more like scrappy in games. Like I feel like they were playing a lot more close and resilient when Dak was in there. I feel like in the early part of the season they were like right there in games. Like they played the Rams pretty close week 1. Week 2, the Falcons choked, but you still need to.
Yeah, Dallas put the pressure on Atlanta that said, "Hey, Dallas is going to play really well. Atlanta, do something." Atlanta just didn't do anything. You had the watermelon kick with Zerline. Then you had the Giants game. That was a mess. The Browns game was one of the
disaster.
Is one of the weird, awesome.
So was that one, by the way. That was like
Odell Beckham had 200 yards. Like what?
I had a bet on that game actually that Odell was he gonna get? I think it was 100 yards receiving, and he ended up getting. I think it was right under, but he had that run because it didn't count as a catch, and that was a big run that actually put him over.
That was
yards.
Hit 3 touchdowns that game too, and didn't Dontrell Hilliard of all people have like 2 touchdowns? Because I know Chubb got hurt, Hunt got hurt. Was Hunt suspended?
By the way, speaking of Odell, I love how Madden just comes out with this spectacular catch ranking today, and has Odell as their 99
still
catch guy.
99.
They're still thinking about the one-handed catch, which honestly I think may have ruined Odell's career when it comes down to it. But let's go through this real quick. So this is something I have a little bit of an issue with, and I wanted to bring this up on the show.
Go ahead.
Okay.
These top 10 wide receiver rankings, Madden, first off, just needs to stop throwing out 99 overalls just because.
I agree.
It should
be Aaron Donald.
Sure.
Donald and only Donald. To me,
Davante Adams is not a 99 overall. Do you think that maybe Aaron Rodgers is helping Davante Adams' career just a little bit? Does that ever cross your mind? On that train, Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's not a 98 overall. He's probably a 94, 95, like Stephon Diggs. They're playing in
I think that's fair.
Upper echelon situations. I mean, it's not a coincidence Tyreek Hill's playing with Mahomes, and he's ranked 98. Stephon Diggs is playing with last year's AFC MVP and Josh Allen. He's a 97. These rankings are absurd.
Why is Amari Cooper a 92?
Yeah, that one's kind of out of left field.
They love Amari Cooper. They always put him high with route running.
They love their Cowboys. They really do love their Cowboys, it feels like.
These rankings aren't bad, though, I think. I think for the most part, they're pretty accurate.
Overall, they're okay. I don't really have too many major issues other than Amari Cooper.
I'll take it in 2 kind of slightly different directions. First, they're not choosing numbers out of a hat for overall, right? That's calculated based on, say, short route running, medium route running, hand or catching, jumping, a number of things. So they don't just choose Davante Adams as a 99, DeAndre Hopkins as a 98. Now they might enter with preconceived notions that, all right, we're going to have Aaron Donald be a 99 and we're going to fiddle with his ranking and rating until he's a 99. I don't know if they do that. If they do, then whatever, I take the L on that one. I don't think they do that, but first it's based on individual ratings. They're not saying, yep, Hopkins is a 98. Yep, Diggs is a 97. And I actually, one of my main gripes with Madden and say NBA 2K or NHL to a lesser degree, and FIFA does this really well, that FIFA, the best player in the game, in the main game, whether it's Messi or Ronaldo, depending on what year it is.
95 or something.
Yeah,
right?
They're like a 93 or a 94.
Yeah.
Even you have some years that your 10th best player is like an 88. I think they do a really good job there.
I like that as well. It's not a coincidence. FIFA's the best sports game that EA Sports currently has. I mean, It's not even close. So
yeah. So if you're looking at Madden ratings for realism, I don't think that's what you're getting. They want to hype these guys up. You don't want to play with a 62 overall, say Taysom Hill. Like, you don't want to play with a 62 overall Taysom Hill. You want to play with a 72 overall Taysom Hill. Or when you get these rookies, like, do I think Pat Surtain deserves a 76 overall as a rookie? In the scope of Madden, maybe, but in the scope of if I'm actually rating these players, no, I don't think a rookie corner deserves a 76 overall. With all due respect to Kyle Pitts, I don't think a rookie tight end deserves an 81 overall. And it's just I would move everyone down a little bit.
When it comes to Madden,
outside of Donald.
I actually think their rookie rankings are fine.
Okay.
For the most
When
part.
it
I
comes
think
to
Donald should be
Madden,
the
though,
99.
when it comes to Madden, I feel like there's a lot of big name value as well. Like you just said, like they want to hype up as many big name players as they possibly can. That's probably why Amari Cooper's like a 92 or like
right. And you see that star. You see that. Well, if it said Dallas, you essentially see the star there. But with Cooper, I think you get maybe a point for being in Dallas. And
right,
again,
let's do the 99 club. Who should really be in the 99 club if you had to say right now?
Aaron Donald.
Aaron
period.
Donald.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Aaron Donald
might be it.
I got another.
Aaron Donald might be, well, with Mahomes and Rodgers, I would probably say they're both 98, and then I'm down to 97, and then you start with one of the tight ends. Pick your favorite. Probably Kittle because he adds the blocking value there. So I think I think you can argue Kelsey is a better player, but I think Kittle, for the sake of Madden, would get a better rating. I don't know what the tight end ratings are, but I would say, to me, 99 should be reserved for this is the best player potentially ever at their position. I think Aaron Donald has an argument of being potentially the best interior guy ever. Now, we can discuss that another time, but I think Madden needs to be more stingy, and it needs to be an honor to have that 99 overall next to your name. And when Davante Adams, with all due respect to Davante Adams, he's an unbelievable receiver, my wide receiver too. If Davante Adams is a 99, I think it loses some of its luster. And then everyone to some degree starts becoming a 99.
If Davante Adams is a 99, then Derrick Henry is going to be in the 99 club for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Like Henry.
I think that Mahomes deserves to be a 99 overall, in my opinion. You could call it a 98.
I'd say 98.
But I think 99 for Mahomes is fair. I think you have Mahomes at a 99. I think those receivers have to all come down. I think
I would agree.
Aaron Donald, 99.
Rodgers?
And no, Rodgers, I would do a 97.
Rodgers would probably be 97, 96.
I would do 97. And then I would do Derrick Henry's tough, not a 99, but that dude had 2,000 yards last year. I mean, he's going to lose some points. I mean, we have to judge the guy based on
Madden rate,
a running back. You have to judge him based on can he catch. I mean, Derrick Henry can't catch, so that's going to bring his rating down a little bit.
I think Tennessee out
of the backfield on third down.
If McCaffrey was healthy, if McCaffrey was healthy, I think he actually was in the 99 club last year.
Mm-hmm. Wagner was a 99 a couple years ago. I don't think should be a 99 this year. Was Gilmore a 99 last year?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Gilmore was. And listen, I love Bobby. Bobby Wagner's a friend of U Stadium. But
of course,
I don't know if was he really ever actually a 99. I mean, if we look back on players, and Madden used to do this well back in the day. I mean, you'd have a few 99s. Ray Lewis wasn't really a 99 often in his career. And he's considered one of the best we've seen.
Yeah, I think if I'm redesigning
Revis,
Madden,
I don't think was ever 99. I mean,
I would have it closer to like a PFF thing that your elite players are mid 90s, maybe like a 93, 94 for the Aaron Donalds of the world. Like I think PFFs, if you gave out Madden ratings that were just PFF ratings, I think you get a fundamentally better product, and it probably would be more fun to play. So like Tyreek Hill isn't going to screw you in every single game you play because there's some sort of competitive balance that like FIFA has, that no matter how bad your team is, you can beat the other team. Like there's a chance for you there. But if you play in like a Madden game, you can abuse something like speed. You can abuse.
You would have to turn on the even teams, which is annoying as hell.
Yeah, you can abuse Tyreek Hill. You can abuse. Now, granted, there is some realism that Tyreek Hill abused the Kansas City or abused the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the regular season, or Lamar Jackson just kills the Bengals, or whatever it may be. But I think to add some like realism that you can't just spam Lamar Jackson and win a game. You can't just spam Henry. You can't just spam Tyreek Hill. So I would bring all the ratings down, and I think it should be an honor to be in the 99 club. It should be an honor to be in even a 90 club. You're talking only the elite of the elite.
Well, this is what Madden needs to do. And Austin, shout outs to you, man. You're 100% right here. Madden needs to just
I think he was talking about the when I mentioned the Rams Dolphins game, but yeah, I agree. I agree though. They do need to
game also. They need to delete the game from I mean, they do need to delete Madden from existence though. They need to get rid of everyone on the team from A to Z. And
I've said it before. They need competition.
Scouts. Yeah.
They absolutely need competition. I mean, when the fact that EA does not, and 2K is making like non-simulation games, which is stupid. I mean, I feel like you need to have more than one company making a more realistic simulation football game. Otherwise, you're not going to have any competition. And look at what EA is doing. And they're just getting really complacent with it. They're just throwing whatever the hell they want out there because it's like, and I mean, yeah, it sucks. But like, if you want to buy a simulation video game for football, what else are you going to buy? Nothing.
Doug Flutie football. I actually tried.
Yeah, pretty much.
I tried Maximum Football. I tried it. There's some Canadian rules in it. I don't totally understand Canadian football. It was like cool. It was just different from Madden. I'm excited for NCAA to be back very soon.
Oh yeah, that's happened. That's gonna be sick. I hope they don't screw it over. I wish
NFL 2K was still a thing. My parents should have had me a couple years earlier, so I
wish
NBA 2K.
I wish COVID didn't screw over the XFL. That video game could have been interesting, to say the least.
Oh,
for
please.
Sure.
Who cares about the XFL?
All right. With that said,
Splash almost played in the XFL. I heard.
What?
Yeah, we were on the radar there for, is it the Atlanta Legends or was that the AAF?
That's the AAF
team. Okay. We were on the radar for the.
You're going to be on the radar for the Ravens soon at right tackle if the way they're going right now. So
Alejandro Villanueva. If I've said this about other Pittsburgh guys. DeCastro is the exception to the recent rule. Alejandro Villanueva made 2 Pro Bowls because he's a left tackle for the Steelers. Not because he was good enough to be a Pro Bowler, but because he's left tackle for the Steelers. And before Steelers fans come from my head, Matt Judon only made 2 Pro Bowls because he's a Raven linebacker, outside linebacker, whatever. And Calais Campbell only made this Pro Bowl because he's a Raven, and the Ravens have an incredible social media team. So, yeah, Alejandro Villanueva, I don't have a lot of faith in him. If he works, he works. He had a better PFF grade than Orlando Brown, which is weird, but hey, it happens. Jack, anything before we wrap it up?
Please, for the love of God, EA, do not make the college football game NCAA filled with microtransactions. I feel like that's the big thing.
I just want a good college football game.
Just make it good. Maybe even if you can connect it to Madden somehow, that would be fun.
Yes, I remember you could do like draft classes from your. It was NCAA. Was it NCAA?
They should do like a Madden 25. They should do like a 2-part career mode and start out in
like high school even.
Yeah, like high school, and then you go
senior year of high school.
It's not just all crammed into like face of the franchise.
Yeah,
start it out in high school for a little bit, play your whole like college career out, and then import that into Madden. I feel like
and then you have and then face of the franchise is so annoying. Like I went through 8 years of a player's career in like what felt like 2 days. Like that.
Is it just me or
just didn't have a good flow to it? I think NBA 2K does a better job of that.
It also kind of feels like I get this vibe all the time when I play my career in NBA 2K. It feels like your guy is just a complete idiot. Like it feels like he's doing like all the wrong things. Like there was that one part where like he like got asked to like light these illegal fireworks in 2K19, and I was like, no. What? That was part of the story, yeah. And I was like, no, don't do it. And then he watches TV, gets bored, and he's like, all right, I'm going to do it. And I'm like, why? Like,
yeah, I know.
It's
crazy. Man, that's weird. Oh man, if NCAA and MLB Power Pros if I could have like 4 Mount Rushmore things, like Splash wants. Number 1, my love interest. Number 2, NCAA, a good NCAA game. Number 3, a good MLB Power Pros game that has active rosters. Actually, with the NCAA game, it doesn't even have to be like updated. It just has to be playable on Xbox One / PlayStation 4. That's all I want. That's all I want. It can be NCAA 14 just on Xbox One and PS4, and then the fourth one is a Lamar Jackson Super Bowl would be pretty nice.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. So yeah, my fourth.
Okay.
Actually, I probably put sushi, maybe sushi. I don't know.
Anyway, we're gonna wrap it up there.
With that said, we're way off the deep end here. We're over an hour and a half. With that said, make sure you subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, drop a comment. I was Jack. I'll have to talk to you about this after the show. I was going through it in the Lamar Jackson comment sections. I cut our clip up. We have 44 comments on that. I think like half of those are me like just yelling at people. You guys need to check it out. We're going to cut this up into some clips too. With that said, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button.
Follow us at UStadium everywhere.
Yeah. At UStadium on Twitter, at UStadium on Instagram. You can follow me at Depressed Splash on, well, you can't really follow me on UStadium, but I'm at Depressed Splash on UStadium. Jack is Jack Mitchell. No, it's 2 L's, not an I's. There is an I. Yeah, there's the I in the Mitchell, of course, but or the M or the MI there. But with that said, we will be back Friday with some big news about Fridays. Fridays in perpetuity moving forward. With that said, thank you guys for watching. Make sure again smash that like button, and remember, folks, Aaron Donald trains with knives. Even on a Monday.